Hello and welcome back, artists and designers. We are on our second step of our carrot flat icon design here. So we went ahead and made our carrot out of simple shapes and did some modifications, used our shape builder, and we're ready to move on to the next step. I'm going to go ahead and actually skip making our detail lines here, and we'll do that kind of at the end. So let's go ahead and add our colors into this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually take everything and I'm going to go ahead and hold down Alt and I'm going to duplicate it. Now, there are a number of different ways to do the painting. I could click on each one of these. This is grouped right now, so I could ungroup it. And I could click each one and I could go in and I could try to do live paint. Some people use that method. I could do a duplication and kind of nudge it over and then use shape builder and try and get some extra additional like shadows and highlights. But I'm going to show you a slightly different method here. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and ungroup this for a second. So just there we go. And let's go ahead and fill this in with some of our base colors. So let's start with our base carrot color. I think it's maybe this one. We'll go with that. And let's fill in all of these leaves with our base green color, which I think let's go with that one for now. I think that'll work here. And so I now have my fills here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this stroke at this point. So I'm going to select everything and I'm going to say, hey, get rid of my stroke, and I have my very flat looking carrot, which works good. So you have your very simple version, your very flat version right here. So now at this point, I want to add a little bit of shadow and a little bit of highlight to this. So we're going to use the knife tool to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my carrot. So I'm going to click on my carrot here. And the knife tool is over here. It's hiding under the eraser tool. If you click and you don't see it here, go ahead up to the top part, and on the toolbars, we're going to make sure that we have advanced checked here. And that should show you the knife tool. Make sure you're using the serrated knife one here and not this tool, which also looks like a knife. That is a totally different tool. It does something completely different. So we're going to use this knife right here. The way that this works is we're going to kind of select the thing we want to slice with this or knife with this. And I have the carrot and I want to create a shadow here. So I'm going to go ahead and start just outside of my line up here. And I'm going to go ahead and start dragging. And I'm going to make this line come all the way down here and kind of through the bottom of my carrot and cut all the way through. No, it's a little tough to see that line, but if I click on it right now, I have actually sliced that into two pieces. So I'm going to leave it where it is, but what I can do is click that, and now I can make that a slightly darker version of that color. So let's go ahead and pick that, and that adds my shadow to my carrot. And I can do the same thing for a highlight, but I'm going to do that a little bit differently. So I'm going to go up here and let's do this leaf. I want to add a shadow over to this side of the leaf. So let's go ahead and grab the knife tool with this piece selected, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of slice down right here like that. And now the whole thing is selected. So I'm going to select the piece I want and add my shadow value to that. And let's do the same thing over here. I'm going to go ahead, select that, and just add a bit of a shadow over on that side. Select that, click on that one. Oops, click on that one, make that a bit darker, and then let's add a little highlight, I think, to this side of it. So I'm going to select this, and I could literally split this in half, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of slice down like that, and I'm going to select this side of my carrot and give that a brighter value over here. And now I have that all pretty much divided up into my separate pieces. I don't love that color palette, but I think it'll work. So let's go ahead and grab that, and I'm going to make sure that I group that. So Control Shift G, or right click, and you make sure that you do group, which it should be grouped already. So when I click on it, it's one single shape that I can move around. So that looks pretty good. I've got that. And now I'm ready to add my line back to it. I'm going to go ahead and just grab this one, and I can drag that over to it and put that on top, but you'll notice that that is going to go under because by default whatever you make further along down the line is going to be on top. So I'm going to go ahead and take this that I just moved there. Let's move it back, and let's move it here. I'm going to get it lined up on this, and then I need to bring this to the front. So I need to make sure that I right click and say, hey, let's go ahead and bring that to the front, or you can do that over on the properties panel. You can hit arrange, bring to front, and that's going to bring my lines back to the front, and we are almost there. That looks pretty good. I'm going to add my finishing touches here. I'm going to add a couple little lines to it and a little highlight, and I'm going to do that with the pencil tool. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to grab my pencil tool, which is right under the shaper tool. So pencil tool right here, and I'm going to double click, and you're going to see this little property panel pop up here, and I'm going to take my smoothing and make sure that's all the way up. If fill new pencil strokes is on, we're going to make sure that's checked. I'm going to uncheck keep selected. I don't particularly want that happening right now, so I'm going to uncheck that and leave everything else the way it is. So I'm going to hit OK, and let's go ahead and add that little highlight to it. So I'm going to take my pencil tool, and I'm going to just kind of take, and I'm just using a mouse right now, and I'm just going to draw a little curve like that. And it puts that little line on there. It's going in as black. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to go over to my properties panel. And let's make this a brighter version of orange. So let's choose this color. And that one is a fill. I don't want to fill. I'm going to choose my stroke color. I'm going to bring my stroke to the front. And let's try that again. Let's try a lighter color. I don't love that, but maybe that one works a little bit better. And let's crank this up a couple times. So I'm going to make that a larger area. Now here's the thing that you'll notice on this, it's got these squared off ends which don't look all that great. So I'm going to quickly click on this, and I'm going to go back over here to my stroke window, and I'm going to click on the round cap, and that's going to add those nice little round corners to it and give it that softer feel. Now of course I could go and adjust this with my direct selection tool. So if I want to click on any of these anchor points and try to modify them maybe a little bit, bend that curve, adjust that a little, I think I'm good to go. All right, and let's add the final touch, which is just going to be some of this texture of the carrot itself. So I'm going to go back to my stroke. I'm going to make that black again. I'm going to take my pencil tool, and I'm just going to draw in some lines here. Oops, click on the pencil tool, and let's just add a little bit of texture. So I'm going to start right on my line and just kind of curve this over and add a couple more. And maybe one right in the middle here, one down over on this side, and one more for good measure down below here. So I'm going to take all these, they're a little bit large, so I'm going to hold down Shift, I'm going to select each one, and you'll notice that it did already go in and add that nice rounded cap to it. If it didn't, you just go back in there and change it. I'm going to crank down my stroke width a little bit to match the original, which I think was 4 points. And that looks pretty good. I need to adjust a couple of these little lines that are overshooting here. So I'm going to go in here and just kind of adjust this. I can drag the whole thing and move it a bit. I think that's a big deal. That one looks pretty good. This one I can click on, move that over a little bit. I can select the individual anchor point if I want to. Find it, drag it in here, make it line up. Bring it in maybe a little bit more. Same thing over here, drag this guy over here, so you can move the whole thing or make any sort of adjustments you want. And I think that is it. So now that I have that carrot, I'm going to go ahead, select everything, and I'm going to hit Control G or Command G to group it, and now I've got my carrot. I can have as many of those as I want. I could rotate it, tilt it, resize it, adjust it, give my carrot a slightly different look if I wanted, and there you go. So hopefully you had some fun making that carrot. We used the simple shapes, shape builder, and then we kind of duplicated it. We did our basic colors. We used the knife tool to go ahead and slice things apart to get our shadows and highlights. And then we took all of that, kind of pulled it back together, and we did some final touches with the pencil tool and those round caps to kind of add some of the little highlights to it. So hopefully you had fun and were able to make this along with me, and you can apply this to any sort of simple graphic flat icon that you want. I'll see you in the next video. Good luck.